Welcome, everybody, to Den Excelsior episode 147. Today, we complete the Trinity, the Blade Trinity, as our spotlight. I'm your host, Ricky. With me, as always, is Dennis.
I think it's the trilogy, but I get what you're doing there. Yeah.
Well, is it still a trilogy now?
It's still a trilogy. Yeah. It's just like Spider-Man has a trilogy, even though he's been in like 7 movies, right?
Well, that one's been in, like, it's 4 now.
No, he's got a trilogy.
Oh, yeah, that one's been in, like, yeah, it's like 7. You're right.
Yeah. It's okay. It's all right.
But
yeah, no, we're gonna get to that one. We'll get to, by the way, we do have a backlog of MCU films to hit that I don't think we've done.
Yeah, that's gonna be the beast of burden.
Is that a beast of burden, or is that gonna be super fun?
It's literally like 20 movies, right?
But 20 awesome movies, mostly awesome.
I think there are MCU films that are worse than Blade Trinity.
Wow, you're crazy hot take. That is not how I feel at all. I think Blade Trinity. I'll put the cart before the horse before we even get to talk about that later. I think that is a terrible superhero movie. It is awful, and I will talk way more about all the things that made it a horrible abortion of a movie. We'll do that. We'll do that later. It literally almost didn't exist, that movie, because of the amount of production troubles that went through it. Like, Patton Oswalt refers to it as like more insane that it got made than Citizen Kane, which I know that's probably a dated reference for you, but
no, that movie's like shot in San Diego. You know that, right?
Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
No.
It's a lot of ties to San Diego, so I know it.
I didn't grow up in San Diego, so I don't know the fun facts.
No. Okay. You watched a good movie though this week, right?
I did. I actually watched.
Not talking about.
I watched several good movies in response to that. I've been on an Alien binge ever since Saturday. My wife and I watched the original Alien movie the day before we went to go see Alien Romulus.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fine flick, man. It's I thought it made it really fun to. I highly recommend rewatching Alien before you watch it, because technically it's the new sequel to Alien, because it takes place
where it fits.
It takes place in the timeline before Aliens. So it's a really cool movie that actually does continue in a different way from the first movie than Aliens does. But it is a continuation, just without Ripley. But it's a fun movie that really loves the franchise and loves that original film so much that it really tries to capture the aesthetic of it while still looking awesome, right? Like, it looks really
good.
They
did the Rogue One where they put people in the period accurate hair from.
Oh no, I meant the aliens. I mean, the aliens just look really good nowadays compared
to. Yeah. The aliens and the puppets look.
But sure, no, it's not just the hair. It's all the technology. It's like there are shot for shot recreations of scenes from Alien that are really cool. Just not like exact recreations, but like homages to, I suppose. But no, it was a great movie, and it did the trick, because I came home and that night I watched Aliens, and then the next day I watched Alien 3, and then the next day
progressively worse.
And then the next day I watched Alien Resurrection, and then I stopped, because that's where you stop.
I love Prometheus and I love Covenant.
I don't. So we're good.
Covenant's great because that was like right around when everyone started like not liking James Franco, and he just dies like 5 minutes into that movie.
I don't remember that movie, dude.
Oh.
I've seen it once ever, like, and I'll never probably.
Got Kenny Powers. He's in there.
I know Kenny Powers is in it. I know Danny McBride's in it. That was why I went to see that movie, but it just because there
He
wasn't a
like
lot of
directed that movie, or he wrote. Did he not write? Did he write that movie?
some sort of credit besides the acting on that movie.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, it's go see Romulus. It's super awesome, and it'll make you want to watch the other ones until you finally finish. You finish Resurrection, and you're like, ew, ew. I will say this: I like Alien Resurrection more than I like Blade Trinity.
Okay, I've never seen Resurrection, so
it's honestly Resurrection's one of those movies that's actually pretty solid until like the last 10 minutes, and you're like,
yeah.
ew. The last 10 minutes are rough. It's written by Joss Whedon. He doesn't like people to remember that, but he did write that movie.
Oh,
It's his writing credit exclusively. It just says written by Joss Whedon. Yeah,
people don't like him anymore either.
I know, but that's why I'm reminding the world.
You know what's funny? A Comic-Con panel I went to featured is it Damien Portier, the original Thanos actor, from
yeah.
Avengers, and he talked a little bit about how that happened. And as part of that story, he goes, "Yeah, like I was friends with Joss," and then everyone's like, "Ooh," and it's like, "Oh, that's how you know they turn when Comic-Con starts doing you."
They did. Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, regardless of all that, I see Alien Resurrection kind of like when we were watching some of the worst Wolverine movies. Like even the worst Wolverine movies, you're still super entertained by Hugh Jackman, right? Like even if everything else is falling apart around it, like, and that's how I feel about Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. Like no matter how bad like it's coming apart at the seams, she's still carrying those movies.
Did you like Predators?
I liked Predators because it was a cool idea. It was a cool idea, and I like Adrian Brody. It's a cool movie. It changes the narrative a little bit, but I guess we only know the little bits that we know, right? We essentially, if you only ever watched Alien 1 and Predator 1 and 2, all we know is like two dudes went on a hunt. Like, we don't actually know everything. They could be the outlaw rogues of their society for all we know.
No, AVP fills in all the gaps.
I know AVP fills in a lot of gaps, but I'm saying AVP fills in too many gaps, like a little too many. So there's a mystery, and it allows for a lot. So I don't know that Predators actually breaks canon. It just kind of broke my brain for a second. I'm like, oh, that's not nice, but it's cool. Yeah. I was tempted to watch those this week after watching the Alien movies, but because to me they always live in the same universe even without
actually
AVP.
Watched a little bit of The Predator because it's on TV and it's fun. It's not great, but it's fun. That movie has an amazing cast.
You mean the original?
No. So that's Predator. The Predator.
Oh, the Predator.
The Shane Black one.
Oh yeah. I barely remember this movie. I can't remember it.
It's where they weaponize autism.
Oh, thanks. Got it.
Yes.
Done.
But like the cast in that movie is like fairly stacked.
You want to talk about fairly stacked cast, and again, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
The cast of Blade Trinity was out of control. Like watching all of those.
That movie had money. That movie did not look cheap. And the actors on screens and the set pieces they were doing.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to jump ahead, but I was just like, that was a thought that I had that really tied into what you're saying is, yeah, that I was kind of surprised. Like I was kind of also surprised by like the cast of Alien Resurrection. Just like a lot of these old movies, you get to see people. That was Ron Perlman before Blade.
Yeah, like 90 something, 99. Blade 2's post 2000.
Blade 2's 2000 something. Yeah. So this is Ron Perlman trying out his character from Blade 2 in an Alien movie. it's the same character basically. He plays the exact same character, and it's fabulous. Even when that movie's like terrible, you're just like, wow, Rob Perlman's in this movie. Winona Ryder's in this movie. You know, like there's some cool actors in this movie. What's going on here? But yeah, no, it's fun to do these rewatches, like to revisit like old classics or old, horrible movies, just to remember like these actors that maybe started somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of the fun of it. And I had fun with my wife because she had actually never seen Alien 3 and 4. So she was like, oh, okay. She was actually enjoying Resurrection. And I'm like, I feel bad for her because she's like, I kind of like this. And then all of a sudden, woo. And she's like, you know what? I hate that movie. And I'm like, whoa, she hates it now. Like it was that
Oh
bad.
my god.
The last 10 minutes is that bad that she hates that movie now. It was pretty. There you go, Joss. Thanks again. Screwed it up. What about you? What are you in or not
on? This past week has been pretty much all Marvel Fortnite. That game it amazes me how it continues to reiterate. But man, that shield feels good. The war machine turret feels great.
The
Like
shield and the turret is broken together. It's
oh
so
yeah.
broken.
We I run a trio group, and we all managed to get shields and turrets, and it was hilarious. Murder that was happening, like
It's fun.
instant murder.
Yeah. What level are you?
I think like 15 or 20, somewhere around there.
Oh, okay.
I don't care about my level.
I'm 58.
Okay, you played a lot more.
So I think I've been playing Marvel Fortnite a bit too. Yeah. No, it's like we've got like a whole religious like ceremony now that we do. We play like zero build. We knock out all 3 dailies, and then we have this creator mode that we go and play. That just gives you like 4 levels each time you play it.
You're cheating.
I'm
Back
not
in my
cheating.
day,
It's fun. It's fun. I love that game gives you so many different ways that if you don't like the shooting, you could go play the Rock Band, or you could go play Lego, or you could go play any of this, and they reward you all the same. Just like when you get the Battle Pass characters, now you also get a Lego version of them. You know what I mean? So like they're not trying to like gatekeep players anymore. Like, and
that battle
that's
pass is
the
going to go way up in price.
eventually, yeah, it will.
Yeah,
But that's I think the one saving grace of why like I don't kill myself about like missing the first Marvel season is what that game was then versus what it is now.
it was still fun.
It was but it was fun. It was more fun for you. What I'm saying is it's super fun for me now because I have other ways of playing and engaging with it and still enjoying my Marvel skins. You know what I mean? So
You save the world. It's always been there.
Yeah, no, I know. I play Save the World also. That's why I'm level 58, Ricky, because I play 3 modes every day.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
No, every season of it's a sprint for me. I get to 200 way before the season ends, and then I just chill out and don't play it for a week or 2. Yeah, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. I haven't seen you playing with us. We've been playing at weird times though.
Yeah. But other than that, not much nerd stuff this week.
It's pretty nerdy. If you're playing Fortnite every day, it's nerdy.
I mean,
it's okay.
It's on the light end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But I have some toy news. Want to talk about some toys?
Yeah.
Well, we have the first look at the Punisher Bushwhacker 2-pack. This was announced at Comic-Con.
Was this announced at Comic-Con?
It was. This is at the panel. Yeah. They showed the picture.
They did show it at Comic-Con, yeah, but this is did they spell Whacker wrong?
Wacker? That's how
Don't
How
you
do you spell
whack with
whacker?
a WH?
I think whacker. Mm, whacker without an H is a type of, I think, wood, right?
Oh,
Um,
I'll yeah. No, let me. Sorry, I'm totally derailing. That figure looks freaking awesome.
the
Okay,
Punisher looks great. I
the
what is
Bushwhacker looks awesome.
what is a bushwhacker, and why does his arm look?
He has a nasty arm that's a gun.
That's his thing. That's his power.
That's his
Like
thing. He's
what's
got this.
the bullet?
It's like an arm that like I think it's like a bio gun.
Oh,
I don't remember what exactly he is, but that's what he looks like, man, and it's
I think it's because
gross.
they made it veiny. It's why it looks not great.
Oh no, it looks gross in the comics too, dude. That's what it looks like. It's disgusting.
Well,
It's a
I actually
cybernetic
do.
arm. It's a cybernetic arm.
I really do want that Punisher though. I love the Punisher costume with
The
the
all
white
black.
bandolier, but like with the teeth almost, where the teeth are part of his belt of the skull.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah.
that's one of my favorite Punisher looks.
Yeah. Oh no, that's I think that's most people's favorite Punisher look, but there's versions of it where he's wearing white gloves and white boots, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much the significant difference between this one and a previous Punisher toy. But I think he is on a different buck, so I think he's got a more super articulated buff body that
Mm-hmm.
includes, I
They
think,
did
the toes.
as a panel. It is like this is the new Punisher body.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. You were there with me. Duh. I forgot. I totally. We watched all these things together. Yes. I'm not used to that, Ricky. So like it's. So you're gonna remember like 3 or 4 months of Marvel reveals because you were there as well.
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder why they show him there and just not just like because at the post wrap up they officially posted this wasn't on there, the Strange wasn't on there. Um,
Yeah.
only a handful of things. Like I don't think they haven't formally like announced Dragon Man yet.
No, they have not. Yeah, they just give you a lot of stuff to like talk about, talk amongst yourselves for a while. But they'll just drip feed it. Like everything they showed us is what's gonna last us all the way up to November, pretty much. And then
Mm,
we'll get like one last like stream like before the end of the year that'll give us like new stuff that we didn't know we needed. Maybe late October. Well, late October is the same thing as November, yes. So yeah, you're gonna surprise for a while.
the last little nugget of news, and it was kind of they talked about at Comic Con, but people are still kind of questioning it about the whole RDJ Doom scenario. He is playing Victor on Doom. Like
I
that is
know.
the character he's playing, not a Tony
I know.
Stark variant ism. Um, the interesting, I guess, nugget that came out of the interview, I think it was a Variety, was he basically like went to Iger and was like, "Hey, how can I help with the parks?" And then that's what spun out the well, you can actually do this other thing for us and on top of the parks, and that's kind of the conversation.
We need life breathed into this dying thing, right? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that doesn't fill me with joy to know that that's the reason this
If
is
they don't
happening.
show his face, are you
Yes,
cool?
I could be. I'm super cool with it. If they never show his face, that would be the greatest thing
Does he
ever.
he has that show on HBO where he's in like 3 characters, but all in
Yeah,
full.
I know.
That gives me hope.
Yeah. No. I think he could be down to clown in a way, but like, here's the thing: it's not even that there's not precedent for it, right? Like,
No. Yeah.
Mahershala Ali and Alfre Woodard have already appeared in the MCU before appearing in the MCU as different characters. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Well, it's a
that's
little different, but yes.
it's not really because they're
The
they're
Netflix the Netflix show live in like a
They're part of the MCU. They are.
They're about to be an Elseworld.
They're part of the.
They're kind of
part
an
the
Elseworld.
MCU. They're the MCU.
It's like Agent of Shield.
But there are other examples of it too. I mean, like I believe characters in the Spider-Man movies and stuff like that. You know, like what is it? The principal of Peter's school is this. It's the same actor as the guy who was a Howling Commando, and the implication is it's his great grandfather or whatever
they do
like that.
reference that canonically.
I know, but like that's a bad example. There's other examples that I'm
it's not unprecedented, but
I
think the catch-22, right? Like if you're
Eternals girl, Gemma Chan. Chan's played two characters.
She's blue, but yes.
She played two characters, man. So that's what I'm saying.
If that was pre-lead Gemma Chan and post-lead Gemma Chan.
But if they want to make pre-lead,
like that was her stock went up dramatically between those two movies.
Oh well, yeah, that's because she's great and people just need to find that out.
She's great.
But my point is, like, if they've done it before, I can be okay with it. But like you just conceded, but she was blue. Yeah, just make him look super different. You know,
I wonder. Again, you're paying this dude $80 million. Like Disney that's the check they're writing for him for. I would assume the 2.5 movies he's doing. As a creative, I'm sure they're down to clown with never showing this dude's face, right? But as a studio who's giving this money, and you have to market this movie, does that make sense? And that's where this will all fall apart. If you know,
dude, I mean,
but look at Colin Farrell. The Penguin.
They market Deadpool movies, and you never see Ryan Reynolds' face.
I think you see his face too much for those movies.
In the new movie, you never see Ryan Reynolds' face. You see Deadpool's face, which is nasty. That's not Ryan Reynolds' face, bro.
That's right. It's his face.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If you give me that kind of Doom, I can be okay with it.
I can live with that.
What I mean? Yeah, if you want to do the Furiosa treatment on Chris Hemsworth, or do it for RDJ, yeah.
You put a nose on him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Doom with RDJ with the nose.
Here's my point, though. I'm fine with the idea that people can look the same in the same universe, right? Or I know he's technically not from the MCU, so that makes even more sense, right? Because like he's gonna come to the MCU's universe from a different universe, right?
Yeah.
And in that respect, that's how you can have, a Spider-Man
parallels.
You could have a Spider-Man that looks like Toby and one that looks like, Holland, or reverse that. You can have, an Eric Killmonger and a Johnny Storm that look the same. You know what I mean? Like I'm fine with that. It's cool. It's just, it's weirder when it's the guy responsible for the creation of the entire universe. Does that make sense? Like
it's weird when it's the main dude.
Like you
replace him with another main dude.
I know we're all joking that Deadpool is Marvel Jesus, but come on though. Like Iron Man is Marvel Jesus, right? Like he really is. And so it's weirder. It seems blasphemous when it's Iron Man. Like we can all forgive Eric Killmonger because, I mean, he knocked that out of the park, right? That was so much better than Johnny Storm. And you can find instances of all kinds of different places, but like there are a few things that are very sacred, and right now I think Deadpool is Ryan Reynolds for good, period. I think we're making a strong argument that Wolverine has to always be Hugh Jackman. And I think the one above all of that is it has to be Tony Stark as Iron Man, right? So like, so it's weird that he's also Doom. And I welcome a world in the future that we live in where we're like, I can't believe he nailed Doom that hard. Like that would be amazing. That would fill me with so much joy that this guy could do that many, like 2 times. He could come back and fill us with that much joy. But right now, allow me to be skeptical and allow me to be grossed out by the corporate decisions that are fueling this endeavor. You know what I mean?
Who's next after Doom?
As far as big bads,
Yeah, I think
Magneto. Like that's the thing, dude. Come on, man. Magneto and Doom are like the top of the villains. Like Galactus is obviously also like a really cool thing to experience, but I mean the top tier like villains in the Marvel universe are like Apocalypse, Magneto, Thanos, Doctor Doom. I could list Spider-Man villains all day, but let's face it, they're really Spider-Man villains. You know what I mean? Like Norman Osborn has exceeded that. He has become an Avengers villain too. So Green Goblin, I'm still shocked that we haven't gotten a real Green Goblin. Like it's weird. It's weird. I think I heard somewhere that there's something to do with, or you were saying it has something to do with like they can't use villains that Sony's already used.
That came out last week. That when Sony uses a villain, it locks down that villain for some period, is my understanding. But we've also, I mean, to be fair, we haven't got a new Green Goblin since the Amazing Spider-Man Green Goblin.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not even sure that was the Green Goblin.
Like Proto Goblin
or Hob. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the Sony makes it weird, but I don't really. I think about it. Aside from Kingpin now, like
there's another great one.
I think I'm good on Spider-Man villains.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not desperate for them. I'm just saying, like, if you're asking me to list like the best villains, like my short list is Magneto and Doctor Doom for sure. Thanos. Like at very, very top, very top. I love Thanos. He's great. But I love Magneto so much because he's just like, he's so relatable. You know what I mean? And I think that's like, we need another one of those, right? Like that's what Killmonger.
Running out of time unless you change them, because like the Holocaust is a huge part of Magneto.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of scary. Although you could argue that his magnetism powers have extended his life. Like that guy's super old and super buff. He's like way too buff to be like as old as he is, right? So you could stretch it a bit, but don't stretch it too far because then it gets weird, right?
He drinks milk of magnesia every day.
We're almost 100 years out from that. You know what I mean? Like it's getting weird. So yeah, I'm curious to see how you could rewrite it without that. But they'll do it, right? They'll figure it out.
They always do. But they'll figure it out like they figured out how to wrap up the Blade trilogy.
That's not encouraging me.
Oh God.
By the way, you're right.
Trinity. About?
They spelled Bushwhacker correctly.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's talk about this.
2004's Blade Trinity, the third movie in the Blade I would say trequel. Requel.
Trilogy. Is it trilogy?
Trilogy, yes.
Trilogy, yes.
Wesley Snipes, Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, Parker Posey, Dominique Purcell. That's all I know. Who am I missing?
Patton Oswalt, Natasha Lyonne. Natasha Lyonne. I don't know if you noticed, but
she's a blind lady?
Dude, she got the final credit in the call. She got the and Natasha Lyonne in the credits.
Was she a thing at that point?
She knew how to negotiate a contract or two. Yeah,
I figured that would go to like Wesley.
It went to her. And I was like, you go, girl. That's impressive. She'd been in a couple things like
that was her. I totally did not recognize her.
That was her. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh man.
This cast was kind of stacked. It was kind of stacked, minus Dominic Purcell. I also, by the way, Parker Posey's brother in that movie was he played Leoben in Battlestar Galactica, and he was a crazy awesome villain in that show. Like if you want to call him a villain, I think he was a villain for a while. He's an amazing actor, and so like I had never watched Battlestar Galactica when Blade Trinity came out, so I didn't know who that guy was, and I didn't care. But like this time around watching it, I was like, oh my god, that's Leoben. Let's see what he does. Oh, he stands there and gets shot with an arrow. That is stupid. Like he didn't do anything. He
He has a
did
dog.
nothing. Oh my god, he has a dog. Can we not talk about the dogs? The dogs suck. I don't understand why this movie kept trying to reference the virus from the second movie, but without referencing the virus. Like, why did the dogs and Dracula both have the same mouth effect of the crazy virus that was killing vampires in the second movie?
The virus I thought was, from my understanding, the virus from the second movie made them, I guess, quote unquote, feral, like a more pure vampire. And since Dracula is a
they couldn't
vampire,
die. They couldn't live without like eating constantly, right? And they were also
yeah. But
I mean,
being in their most pure form gave them the weird lips.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It was just weird and dumb. Like, but
for what I thought the movie was fine. It's fun. Like I know you don't like when I say that, but it's an action movie with Blade. I don't think you can go that. I don't think that formula can go so far down into terrible territory. But
I think it can when the choreography and the tone and the visual style and all the elements that make it are changed just a little bit here and there.
yeah.
I could have taken a couple things. Like I could have taken maybe adding Whistler's daughter or even though that's really messed up that like the cops just kill Whistler and then his daughter shows up. And you're like, what is that? Like
It's a little fucked up.
That's dumb.
Well,
Like,
are those characters so Whistler's in the comics, right?
only because of his popularity he was created in the cartoon.
The
yes.
Night Stalkers are a thing in the comics.
Night Stalkers are a thing. Hannibal King is a thing. In the comics, Hannibal King is actually a vampire who was turned by Deacon Frost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think in the movie they imply that he was a vampire, but then
he was. He has
turned back.
He shows his pubes to prove it.
Yeah, I know, that was crazy. But yeah, I don't know why they did that when that's kind of like the core of the character. If you actually looked up old pictures of the character from the comics back in the day, he's spitting image of John Constantine. He's just a dude wearing clothes. Like that's it. He's nothing remarkable looking at all. Like but yeah, he is a character that was created in the same comic that Ryan Reynolds holds up, not that issue, but Tales of Dracula or Tomb of Dracula, I think it's what it's called. That comic, that series is the comic that introduced Blade and Hannibal King at different times in its run. But yeah, he's a super old character. He's been around for a long time. I don't know enough about him to know if they missed the mark by casting Ryan Reynolds as the character. But all I know is I hated Ryan Reynolds in this movie. And I felt for you, and I never hated him before, but this time I did in this movie.
I just don't find him funny, and the humor in this movie,
it's tonally off.
The writing is worse than Deadpool, but the playbook he uses to deliver jokes, the beats that he hits, it is the same. Like it's not. They are the same, the cadence and the voice.
He's so much faster in Deadpool and so many more.
But they're not. They're not like it's not a night. It's not a transformation of that. Like these, Hannibal and Deadpool live on the same Venn diagram of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, for sure they do.
Chops. Yeah,
right. But I think the difference is because Hannibal wasn't a popular character that people would really be mad if it was interpreted wrong. And the difference being that Deadpool acted like that before Ryan Reynolds played him. You know what I mean? Like Ryan Reynolds just happens to be a Deadpool type of person, but I think he was trying to play Hannibal King as a Deadpool type of person, and I think that's the weird part.
I will say Deadpool and Wolverine 100% missed the mark by not having, because Ryan Reynolds opens this movie with the voiceover.
Yeah, I hated
Which
that
is like
so
weird.
much.
And also you don't need him for like another half hour in that
Dude,
movie.
here's my thing. Here's my thing with Ryan Reynolds, and I know you're trying to make a point, but like he's too much of this movie. Is the reason I hate him is because he's the comic relief, he's the exposition in the movie, and he's somehow the narrator, but all different tones, right?
Yeah.
Like they're all different tones. Like the narrator has like this gravitas to it, like shit's hitting the fan. But then like in the movie, when he's expositioning, he's just kind of just I have to explain this entire part of the plot right now to the whole audience. So I'm just going to do it as fast as I can. But with some seriousness, kind of. And then his comic side is just like so far not in the moment. It's so outside of the moment that it's just like it's almost fourth wall breaking, but he's not allowed to fourth wall break because he's not
Yeah.
actually
I mean,
Deadpool.
it is very dated. Like some of the jokes and like, oh,
The wardrobe too, like
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I thought Jessica Biel looked cool as shit though. Like
I thought she was cool as shit, and you know what? That character did not exist in the comics.
I forgot how awesome iPods were.
I do like Abigail Whistler. I think she was a really great. That's the thing. Like, I think this movie could have been really good. It's just it decided to try too many things all at the same time. Right? I was kind of weirded out that the RZA did the music for this movie just because that made the movie sound different than the previous movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The previous movies are very techno, like
Yeah.
like
Like a hip
yeah,
hop edge to this.
yeah, and I'm not saying it's wrong to have a hip hop edge to Blade. That's cool, but it in the trilogy, in the sense of a trilogy, it was weird. It tonally it sounded different. Visually, it looked different. Like because David S. Goyer directed this movie, which was not the studio's first choice, not even necessarily the second choice. There were several people that were like tasked to direct this movie, and what ended up happening is they all fell through. So they just let David S. Goyer do his first directing job ever. And I think it shows. I don't think visually the movie looks like it's being told as best as a Blade movie could be. I don't
Well,
know.
it's not. It's your point. It's not consistent with what we had seen before.
Right, especially with GDT, right? Like GDT
Mm-hmm.
raised the bar on what we could expect from vampires fighting vampires, right? Like it got nuts, right? Like crawling on walls and like like they were doing some bonkers like superhero fighting in that movie. And I think that's what hurts me about this third movie is all the vampires pretty much just punch and then get killed. And it's like, what are we doing? Why are you not even trying to
Mm-hmm.
bite people or like do? I want to see big, spectacular things. I thought this movie wrote out a very cool thing that could have been by just saying, oh, yeah, most of that shit you hear about Dracula doing, he can't really do that. Like, I'm like,
It's
damn.
also
Like, I wanted to see what a Marvel version of Dracula looked like. And I was very disappointed because
I
they're
think
just trying too much.
yeah. He has all these like chains and like super open shirt. Like, it's so weird. This is also like a post Underworld movie.
Yes.
And I think for vampires in that space, Underworld is seen as like Underworld's a pretty good movie.
Underworld is a very stylistic movie that it really is. It's sexy. It makes vampires look sexy, right? Like that's kind
Yeah,
of
and
the
they're
whole point of
fighting
it.
the
Yeah,
werewolves, right? But it
right.
tonally it's similar to the Blade movies. So to have Blade 2
Yeah,
kick ass and then Underworld kick ass and then
I read a fun
Oh.
fact that they were actually working on a Blade Underworld crossover,
I feel like I
but
heard that too.
but after this movie, eventually they let the rights just revert back to Marvel because this movie did not do as well as they would have liked it to. Um,
Oh, we also got Van Helsing this year.
yes.
I kind of like that movie a lot.
So Van Helsing, the character that Abigail or that Jessica Biel's playing was originally going to be Rachel Van Helsing, but then Goyer heard about how Van Helsing went, and they're like, maybe we don't,
It's funny. I
maybe
thought
not
she would
that.
be like an Elsa Bloodstone, right? With the red jacket kind of tipped me off. I'm like, oh, that's like
Yeah,
her thing.
could have been. I don't remember if Elsa Bloodstone existed at that time. I don't remember how new or how recent that character is, but I'm always surprised by the Night Stalkers and the Midnight Suns. So yeah, uh, Hannibal King's actually an original, I think, member of the Midnight Suns.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's him, Ghost Rider, Strange, um, Morbius, Blade, and yeah, I think that's about it. I might be missing one, but yeah, Hannibal King's OG. Like he is that whole mystical Marvel Knightsy dark, dark seedy part of the Marvel universe. He's been there forever. I didn't feel like Ryan Reynolds' character could have survived in that universe for very long. He is kind of terrible at his job most of the time. Like
He
he
does
was
get
just
stabbed,
he gets
and then
caught.
he caught, chained
he
up.
he walks backward and falls and almost knocks himself out again. Like I don't know, he's just like the stakes aren't there for him, and I think he just ruins the tone of the movie because like every time I'm watching Blade or even Abigail Whistler, I'm like, yeah, I like what you guys are putting on screen, and then the comedy comes in, and it made, as I was watching this movie, it made me feel like Frank, our friend of the show, who constantly like says how the MCU has this problem of feeling the need to inject humor into moments that don't need it, and it robs you of the ability to like experience the intensity, right, and the emotion of it all. And
Yeah.
I felt like that's what they wanted, so much comedy in this movie. And I'm not even putting that all on Ryan Reynolds. Parker Posey, she's a very niche kind of actress, and you got her in this movie. And I would have been just fine with just Parker Posey as like the main villain outside of Dracula. But the fact that we had to have like Triple H also be this comic relief too. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then what is it, John Michael Higgins,
Mm-hmm.
like so many comedic characters in this movie. Like even Patton Oswalt's character was kind of like fanboying over Blade, right? Like a little bit like, oh, I can't believe I'm working with Blade,
Yeah.
and it's just it's too much. It takes away from the coolness of Blade. Like even the premise of this movie, like how we were talking about, last week, the craziest thing about Blade is he just exists in another world than the rest of humans, right? Like he doesn't care about any of the stuff that is our
He
day-to-day
just
lives.
hates the vampires.
Yeah, he just hates vampires, and he finds the resources to continue killing vampires. He does not care who the president of the United States is. You know what I mean? All these things, which I did kind of like that scene where they were testing him to see, how insane he was. Yeah, he's got to be technically insane by a legal definition because of what he does. But I just felt like it became too meta in that they started acknowledging that in a way that was just too literal. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I bet Blade doesn't even know how bad of trouble he'd get in with the cops or care. Let's just get Blade arrested. And I was like, that's
That is, I kind of did like their whole
uh,
like, let's just get Blade canceled, like,
uh, well,
and
that's where you and I differ. I just think it took me out of the fun of the first two movies, right? The first two movies are, man, we are immersed in this crazy world. I don't care about the outside world. The outside world is dumb. Let's just live in Blade world. And then in the third movie, they're like, yeah, but the outside world kind of sucks, right? It's like,
I mean,
I didn't need
it
that.
is
I didn't need that
crazy the cops hadn't caught, like, he skirts away for
but it's
like
also
2 movies.
dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I think David Goyer tries too many times to like test the waters with what the audience is willing to accept. Like we didn't even talk about it last week when we were talking about Blade, but like, how wild is it that like Deacon Frost is the first vampire to ever consider using sunblock?
I don't think it's the first, but
I
the
think
whole
that's kind of the implication is like they never, because they're surprised, and like even Blade was surprised. It's like, what is that, sunblock? You know, and Blade's been around the block, so like I think it's the
but like the
implication of
whole
it.
techno vampirisms that they do, like when they're wearing the motorcycle helmets to kill that guy in Blade One, or
Or the paintball suits
the
to get
paintball suits.
Dracula.
Yeah. Or in the first or second movie with the blood bank, they're like keying in with the blood, right? Kind of
Yeah.
into the building. Like I do appreciate like they're not like monsters, and that's what I think me makes it start to get a little weird of like Blade's just kind of killing these things like, indiscriminately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are monsters in that they're doing horrible things. They're eating people. They're
They're
literally
eating.
eating
Well,
people.
even in this movie though, they were like, okay, yeah, it's probably better to like to harvest people, and then they explain it in a way where it's like, oh yeah, that does make sense. Like
That doesn't make sense, Ricky. You're not supposed to agree with that. Like, it's not.
yeah,
They
from
treating
their point
humans
of
like
view,
they're
that is a
treating
pretty
human.
like
Oh
good
my
way to
god.
like,
Oh my god.
and they're like, we're doing y'all a favor.
They're eating people, Ricky. They're clearly the bad guys. I think we had this trouble because you wanted to ask us this last week. They're like, is there ever like a gray area? And we're like, dude, you can be okay with them killing vampires in these movies. It's fine. They even went so far as to take the one character that canonically is a vampire and unvampire him for the sake of the audience knowing who to root for. You know what I mean? You're only supposed to root for Blade because he's not like them, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? But like, and by the way, like he was way strong compared to them. Like he was kicking like Triple H like 50 yards away and shit like that. I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
He like
what?
kicks that dude through like a door, a metal
Yeah.
door.
I was a little weirded out by how juiced like Blade just made every fight a little too boring. Like
It is,
not
yeah,
he made it, but
mhm.
the choreographer
Yeah.
made every
It's
fight a
fights.
little
It's
boring.
probably the worst fights of the trilogy.
Yeah.
Um, this movie has a post credit scene. I don't know if
It's
you
so
knew
it,
this. It's just him
I
driving.
always knew. I
But
always knew that.
is this the first post credit scene for Marvel, or I guess these types of
For a
movies?
non it's for a well, it weird fun fact, Blade Trinity is the first Blade movie to start with the Marvel logo. They never bothered to even mention that it was a Marvel movie in the first two. Like,
Yeah.
but then they're like, ooh, that's a thing now. And I think that's why they put that post credit in there, just to be like, yeah, we did it too, you know,
But Spider Man doesn't have it, does it? Or Daredevil, does Daredevil have it?
Daredevil has one. Bullseye.
Oh,
He's
you're
in
right.
the
You're right.
yeah,
You're right. You're right. Hmm.
yeah. So yes. It's happened. It's happened before. Um, but yes, Blade did it, and it was probably the dumbest uh post credit scene I've ever seen.
It's like he's alive, and then guess what? He's still alive.
I know, like I was really insulted by the dumb fake out of like a dead Blade on the. I'm like, bro, I just saw him 5 seconds ago wearing a red shirt and talking, and then you show a half naked Blade dead. I'm like, I know that's not Blade, you dumbasses. Like, what are you trying to do? And like, that was just stupid. Like, I didn't. He so clearly beat Dracula. It wasn't fun. Like, it wasn't a fair fight. Like, I was just like, I don't think this Dracula's guy has a chance against Blade for
No,
some reason in
he's
this
been
movie.
sleeping for a long time. People
He
were like historically
everybody
smaller back then.
everybody either got their asses kicked so boringly from Blade, or they died dumbly, like from breathing the air, or just like, yeah, just randomly getting killed. Or people got killed off screen in this movie, dude. Like half of the Night Stalkers die, and we never get to see them die. And I'm like, what? Did you run out of budget on this movie? Like, I do believe budget was a problem on the set. I've read a lot of problems on that set. It was crazy.
Dracula was an ableist, man.
Wesley Snipes was like method acting, and he wanted everybody to refer to him as Blade on the set. He started eventually just living in his trailer and passing notes to people with sticky notes. Like that's how he'd communicate with the rest.
Well, there was the whole like he didn't want to open his eyes for the final scene, right?
Yeah, so they had to like CG open his eyes, right? Like, yeah, it's pretty. It's weird. There's a lot you could go. I highly recommend, because we don't have the time to do this all tonight. But like,
he very shortly went to jail after this movie. Like very shortly after this movie.
You know, he also sued this movie. He sued New Line and David Goyer for reducing his role in this movie to make room for these other two characters. Also, he was executive producer on this movie, but they didn't. He claims they didn't allow him to participate in the casting of this movie. I think that's a subtle way of saying he was not happy with Ryan Reynolds being in this movie. Yeah. There's a lot of crazy stuff that went on with this movie.
It all comes full circle.
I mean, that's why we did it, just to be clear. Like, right, we wanted to watch Blade Trinity because we are in love with Blade all over again, because we got to see him in Deadpool and Wolverine earlier last month. It was an awesome experience, and of course it made us want to go watch Blade. Unfortunately, we just wanted to close it out and finish this other, little corner of the Marvel Universe, because we'd already talked about Blade 2, because it's one of my favorite pre-MCU movies. And so we were like, yeah, might as well do Blade Trinity. Yeah, I kind of hate this movie, man. Like, I would love it so much if Ryan Reynolds just wasn't in it, and also if David Goyer didn't direct it. I think there's a lot of things.
What could have been?
Yeah, can if this was directed by GDT though? You know why it wasn't directed by GDT?
So he was doing Pans, Hellboy. Right? Or Hellboy.
Hellboy had gotten
that's before Pans happened? Or it's in between 1 and 2.
He passed on Blade because of Hellboy getting greenlit. I don't know,
I wonder if he would be down to clown to come back to Marvel.
I don't know.
His price has went up significantly since the last movie.
Yeah, but I do love the way he tells the story visually. So that's why I love Blade 2 so much, because I feel like it built that universe out in a cool way, right? They kept continuing.
He's good
on
with monsters.
Yeah,
they kept at humanizing monsters.
Yeah, and they kept continuing what you were saying, is right, like creating this whole techno vampire lore. And that's why it was just kind of weird that it's like, okay, we're definitely modernizing vampires, and so for the third one, let's go dig up dead old Dracula.
Yeah,
like that's dumb, right? Like what did he have to offer them?
If I'm writing Blade and I'm on the third movie, he has to fight Dracula. Like, to me, that's not in question.
Oh, I don't mind that. What I mind is that this Dracula has been off the table for thousands of years. Like, why not show that Dracula's been at the top of this food chain the entire time? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we could have done that one.
We could have had a cooler Dracula than the one we got. This 100%. Dracula was dumb. He was dumb. Like, he made me not care about the stakes of this movie. So, like, yeah. I love Parker Posey so much more than Dracula. She was hilarious in this movie.
I guess I didn't understand, like, you're next in line to talk to Dracula? Like,
I know, right?
There's not like a few other people in between.
Well, because they had the balls to go rescue him.
I guess,
I think that's the implication, right? they went and rescued him, so now they're his loyal subjects, except for the ones he kills. Like, yeah. It's the movie had a lot of potential, and it just really, really early out of the gate with starting with Ryan Reynolds talking as the narrator of the Blade movie. Like,
I mean, it suffers from the trilogy curse from all these movies from back then. Like, they really, the twos are the good ones, and then they try to go over the top. But I think for this movie, and then for Spider-Man, they start
That's
delving in the parts of the universe.
You're right. You're
They
right.
they go into parts of the universe from those characters where it's such a shift from what you've established, and it makes it weird. Like, aliens in the Raimi-verse, Venom, right? This is like, oh, that's not kind of what you like started doing, and it's like, oh, we're just gonna accept that aliens are real now in this universe. Like,
there's probably a way that could have been done where it would be fine, but it wasn't that, and that's the same. And the same
everything
goes
has to build to the big cheese, right? They have to go for the
but same goes for the Phoenix, right? Like, we all wanted Phoenix. We were teased her at the end of X2, and we're like excited for it. But then when we saw it, we're like, not like this, please, not like this. Like, it's rough. Like,
for what they need to be compared to the comics, either the budget, the visual effects weren't there. Like, they just couldn't exist for the times that they were being called up to bat. And
can you imagine if Blade 3 was the formation of the Midnight Suns?
That would have been cool. You could have done a Midnight Suns with Daredevil. That would have been
Ghost Rider.
And Ghost Rider,
who already existed, right, at that time. Ghost Rider was a thing, right?
Yeah, 2004, right? Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine that? Like, if we had actually gotten that, like, that's what I'm saying. This Night Stalkers thing, and the worst part is they actually contractually, they had already signed Ryan Reynolds on to do a spin-off of this. Like, that's the plan. That was the plan. Is Night Stalkers, we're going full steam with this. And when this movie came out and people hated it, they're like, never mind.
Is Blade intrinsic to the Midnight Suns? Could you do a Midnight Suns Marvel movie without Blade? Or is he too much, or too big of it?
I feel you need the Blade character to, like, you need somebody way deep in the heart of the supernatural to pull in the Doctor Strange of it and get his attention, right? Because Doctor Strange is so deeply focused on other dimensions, like, that's his job. But, like, his skill set is very useful in that realm too. So I think you need a Blade, or because I don't think Ghost Rider is trying to grab people to form a team. Like, that's not really his thing. You know what I mean? His thing's just vengeance. Like, he's just a demon possessed. So you need either a Blade or a Hannibal King, but I don't think people know Hannibal King well enough to pull that off. You know what I mean? Like,
so Blade is.
You need a vampire. You need a vampire, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, a real one, not a Morbius one. Like, Morbius is a weird fake vampire. Like, he's
synthetic blood.
You need Blade. I think he's a pretty big anchor in that supernatural universe of Marvel. It's like Blade and Doctor Strange, but you saw they try to write Doctor Strange to not be like, ooh, spooky magic. He's this science magic that you just don't understand yet. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, it's weird. It's, you know what I mean? It's not spooky, and like, you gotta have
spooky in the second movie.
It got a little spooky, but like multi-dimensional spooky. Like, like, ooh, look at that dimension with zombies and shit like that. That's it's cheesing out because you're not acknowledging, like, Blade. Like, I'm so excited for Blade in the MCU because
it lets you make like all the spooky shit is actually happening.
Yeah, like Moon Knight kind of let it happen, but it was god shit. It was Egyptian god specifically, right? It's like So that wasn't quite letting me have like the spooky. And then like what is it? The one with the man thing, the Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
We started getting it, but we haven't conceded that Werewolf by Night was actually in the MCU, right? Like
It was. No, it is.
But like we haven't done anything like to connect
Oh,
it
to
yet.
loop it. Yeah, to loop it back now.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like once a piece of that actually connects, then I'm excited because then you can have Spider-Man fighting vampires. You know what I mean? You can have all the weird shit. Like you get it all. Like you need Mephisto. You know what I mean? You need a devil. You need demons.
I
and shit
think
like that.
There's the Ironheart apparently is a Mephisto show, and I think that's
good.
What are you talking about? We're getting Agatha. You got witches.
Oh, God damn it.
You're gonna get a witch.
Dude, that show looks so bad. Like it looks so bad. I'm just gonna be that guy. You're gonna have like 100 clips of me saying like hating on it as it's getting all the Emmys, and I'll be like, damn it, I didn't know. Until that comes out, I hate it. All right, I just hate it with a passion.
Well,
I acknowledge that it could totally change.
We'll just have to wait and see. But as we wrap up here, what are we watching next week?
Well, we're still waiting on word for those secret guests that I hit up. I did hit them up to see if they are able to join. It's their choice. If they're not able to join, we're going to talk Ghost Rider.
Okay. Ghost Rider's on the table, though. It's going to come up.
It's right on brand. It's right. Yeah. We need a Ghost Rider shoot. I want a Midnight Suns. I want that to happen. That would be really cool. So let's watch the old one before we possibly get a new one. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
All right. And with that, true believers,
thank you to everyone who joined us.
Oh, yes. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Patreon subscribers. Patreon.com/10xmedia. That's where if you want to kick us a few bucks for some exclusive content. Maybe a foot pick or two. You can do that there. But with that, true believers, enough said.